Let's look at stocks. Suppose you inherit some money and you want to invest it in Apple stock. You look in the newspaper or online and see this. What does all of this mean? When you own stock in a company, you own a portion of the company. The stocks of many companies are bought and sold in stock exchanges, like the New York Stock Exchange, NYSE, or NASDAQ, another stock exchange. Apple, as we can see, is traded on the NASDAQ. Each company traded on a stock exchange has its own symbol. AAPL is Apple. What do you think MCD stands for? McDonald's. NKE? Nike. How about this one? DIS? That's right, Disney. Oh, here's a tough one. MMM. 3M. On this particular day, the opening price for Apple stock was $529.08 per share. The highest price that day was $532.75. The lowest price for Apple stock that day was $522.12, as we can see here. The closing price was $526.24. The volume of Apple stock bought and sold that day was 13,284,562 shares. Expressed in hundreds, this would be 132,846, because 13,284,562 is 138284600. On this particular day, the market capitalization for Apple stock was $469.4 billion. This is the total value of all the shares of the company. Here's how we calculate it. Market capitalization, total value of all the shares of the company. It's the price per share times the number of shares outstanding. 526.24, as we saw a moment ago, was the price per share. There are 891.22 million shares out there of Apple stock. Multiply those together. 526.24 per share times 891,220,000 shares. And you get the total value of all those shares, which is $469.4 billion. In other words, $469,400,000,000. Now, market capitalization, total value of all the shares of the company, that gives us a sense of the size of the company. And we classify companies as large cap, mid cap, or small cap, depending on their market capitalization, the value of all their shares. Large cap, the value of all their shares is more than $10 billion. Medium cap companies, value of their shares is between $2 billion and $10 billion, and small cap companies, the value of all their shares is less than $2 billion. On this particular day, the change in price for Apple stock was $1.43 per share. So it closed at $526.24, which was down $1.43 from where it had closed the previous day. And sometimes that's also expressed as a percent. It's down 143 from the previous day, and as a percent change, that's 0.27%. Not 27%, just 0.27%. So about a quarter of 1%. At this time, the annual dividend for Apple stock was $12.20 per share. Now, dividends are a portion of the profit paid out to the stockholders, the owners of the company. After all, if a company makes a profit, it pays out that profit to the owners, and the owners are the stockholders. A dividend of $12.20 per share is 2.3% of the value of the share. So we say the yield is 2.3%. It's like getting 2.3% interest on our shares. PE ratio is the price-earnings ratio. It's the price of the stock divided by the earnings, that is the profit. Investors, in essence, investors are willing to pay this many dollars for $1 earnings. So, in other words, investors are willing to spend $12.20 for each dollar of earnings that Apple generates. So the price-earnings ratio, price divided by price divided by price divided by earnings is 12.2. Suppose you want to buy 150 shares of Apple stock. How much will this cost you? Well, it's the number of shares times the price per share. And as we saw a moment ago, price per share is $526.24. That was the closing price. So 15 times $526.24 is $7,800 $7,893.60. So $7,893.60. Now, suppose you want to buy 15 shares of Apple stock. How much will this cost you if you have to pay a commission to a broker? As follows. Commission depends on the principal amount, the amount of money you're spending on the stock. So here might be a typical, this might be a typical commission that you'd have to pay to a broker. Now, in this case, we spent $78.93.60 on the stock, so we fall into this middle category. Principal amount is between $4,000 and $79.99.99. So our commission that we'd have to pay to the broker to buy the stock would be $79 plus 9% of the principal. 9% of the principal is 0.009 times 0.789360. And again, we add the 79 to that. So it's $79 plus 9% of the principal. In other words, it's 79 plus 0.009 times 789360, and that's $150.04.